See, I see that it's live on my
Yeah,
stream.
but when I go to that actual link, it's not there.
No, but
Now,
that's strange.
hold on a sec. Because the YouTube, yeah, because you did it right. I didn't. We're like an old married couple. I
Yeah, you already have your video is only 3 minutes
There we
long.
go. We're like an old married couple. There we go.
Is
Okay,
it
so
working right now? Is it the same link?
it is the same link. It
Okay,
just was
because
not
this is
connected
important.
here. So for anyone
I'm not
joining us
sure
now,
if it's the same
actually,
link.
you have missed 3 minutes of Dimitar and I bitching with each other because it wasn't working. Uh, and a little song and dance about how Dimitar was late and his microphone wasn't working. But you will just have to imagine that. So, welcome again for about the fourth time to everybody who's joining us. One day I will figure out this streaming thing, but I'm not a millennial or whatever it's called. I'm over 30, so I don't get this thing. Welcome, and sorry we're a little bit late, but we're working on something really cool together, and we're actually going to talk about that right at the end of the show. So if you're watching on replay, you can feel free to go ahead and skip to that. And if you're watching live, I'm sorry, you'll have to watch the rest of this for the next hour, and then we'll tell you what it was. So for the next time,
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about the news updates. So we'll talk about the news updates, and we'll actually show you what is new today, because I think it's better to just show you. We both think that it's better to show you instead of just saying what is new. So while I am talking about that, can you share your screen, Josh, and just
I
show
can
the
indeed, Dimitar.
email or
I can
the
indeed.
community? And then, so we'll talk about that. We'll show you in real the widgets or the changes that were made. And then we'll talk about the difference between MySQL and Firebase. And so this is actually, there are two major things that I wanted to do this. This was like I was pushing Josh because he was not willing to do this. But there are
I
two
said it
major
couldn't be. I
things.
said you could do it. It just couldn't be too developer-y.
Yeah,
That was my
you're
word.
right. You're right. But my idea, the two major ideas was that first of all, those I think this will be very good for new users to see when they begin to actually do their project or app. If they have a little bit skills, they can use MySQL. If they don't have skills, of course, they can use Firebase. But
You
if
sound
you
like that film Napoleon Dynamite. Like I've got real good nunchuck skills. Have you
no,
got
the
bicycle
thing is
skills?
that no the problem with that actually is because you can you have to write your backend your own, so on your own. But we'll talk about it later. But after that, after everything else, if we have time, and I hope you have, we'll actually tease you with the project that we work with Josh, and what is coming hopefully next week. So we'll talk about
Pretty
that
exciting.
after.
Cool. So, do you want to go? So, let's talk about this first thing. The first thing is enhanced drag and drop support. You can now drag and drop elements inside of your app canvas. This makes it faster and easier to rearrange elements that are already part of your app design. Have you tried this? I've had mixed results with this so far. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I haven't tried this to be honest, because first when I wrote it, when I read it, I was not able to see how you can actually and what is actually the whole idea of it.
I mean,
Uh,
the thing that this is kind of well, pretty much my experience. What you're seeing right now, like I think it means that you used see how you used to be able to do this, right? I think you
yes,
have many more options now. If you see where that blue line is going, like
yes,
you can,
and
but
I
that
think you can go outside of this box, right? You can go
exactly. You can basically
Dialogs.
go anywhere in the canvas, and then you occasionally get
Yeah.
those gray screen glitches, which is maybe just my computer or the fact that I'm streaming. So it's cool. To be honest,
Or maybe there is a place that you cannot actually place this widget, and that's why you're getting a gray screen, I'm assuming.
yeah. I mean, in general, like I'm sure it's an improvement. I'm sure it's going to keep getting better over time. Um, I'll be honest, I only kind of notice it when it glitches. But I'm sure that's definitely going to get better. And I don't mean to be negative about it, but yeah, stay positive. I think it's an improvement. What's the next thing on our list here? This one.
Hi to Imad,
Which
because he
one?
said hi. So hi
Oh,
to Imad. Yeah.
hello.
Anyway.
This next one is a huge one.
Yeah.
Conditional logic. We've made some big updates to conditional logic in FlutterFlow. Combine multiple Boolean conditions using and or. Example, if transaction value is over 100 and lifetime revenue is over 1,000. And then conditional values using if, then, else. Example, if user role equals admin, then custom function A, else custom function B. Okay, this is a massive one. This is stuff that I'm sure a lot of other people, like myself, and like Dimitar, I always used to do this with custom functions, and now you don't have to. So let's make a little test page and tell me some examples to build, Dimitar.
Yeah, and while you're doing this, hi to Manish and hi to Sebastian, which actually made it this time live because he's always not here at the beginning. So congratulations to him.
All right, so tell me something to build. Let's get creative.
So let's can we try to have an image and then a text? And if we have an image, to display the image, and if we don't have the image, to display the text.
Okay.
Do you think this is possible?
I think anything is possible. All right. So let's say that we've got here like user profile page or something. Yes. And we want to display their image normally. But yes, like if they don't have an image, maybe we want to display the text, right?
Yeah, or we can display no image found or something like that. Yeah. Instead of the hello world.
Okay. So we want to display no image found.
Yeah. Hello to Ali as well. I don't know Ali, but yeah.
So how do you want me to do this? You want me to do this with conditional visibility?
Yes, please.
I can do that. So what you're going to see here, for those of you, is a slightly different setup. Previously, this used to say condition, and that was it. If you want to do anything more than that, you used to have to use custom functions. What you now have is a conditional value and a conditions where you can do, this is what you used to have, single condition, and then this is combined conditions. And these are sort of infinitely nestable. So essentially, what we want to do is, shall we do a combined condition? So what two conditions should we have? That it's
so I think for that purpose, I'm not sure, but I think we need a local variable which is saying if you have a image or not, because we don't right now, we're not connected with the Firebase because we don't have.
I can just look at authenticated user. See?
Okay.
So what I can do is I can set, so essentially here, what you have, this is where you put your first condition, and then you can choose and or, and then you can add multiple other conditions. So let's say we only want to show the photo if they have a photo and if their name is Bob. What we would do here, this first condition, we would set to be a single condition. Again, this is the one that's you're used to, this view. So we're going to look at authenticated user, and we're going to look at their photo URL. And we're going to say that it's set. So that means that if this person has a photo, that would normally be where it used to stop. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do this and we're going to say that and also I want to make sure the name is Bob, because anybody apart from Bob doesn't deserve a photo. So we're going to look at their display name, and we're going to set that to equal to Bob with a capital B.
Yeah.
He's a builder because he builds no code. It's also a TV show in, I think, America or UK. Anyway, so if both of these conditions are met, this image will show. If one of these conditions is not true, if his name is not Bob or the photo is not set, it will not show. That's how, and that's basically it. The conditional value we can do here. We can have this. Yeah.
Sorry. Can you copy and paste the conditional values, the conditions visibility? Is that possible?
What? Copy paste? Yes, you can. I think this should. I think this deserved its own entry in the news. For those of you who have not noticed, there's a little magical dots here. Here. Anytime you see a variable, you can actually go ahead and copy this. So I'm going to
Wow,
copy
that's
this
amazing.
variable, and I'm going to go here. And basically what I want to do is I want to only show this if, let's say, it's not set, right? So I can actually paste this directly in here. Photo URL is set. The only thing I'm going to do is change it to be not set. And it will do that. And now what I can do, the other thing that they've released is called conditional value. And what I'm going to do is I want to, on this text, if they do not have an image, I want to show no image found. If they have an image, I want to show hi Bob. Yeah. So what you're actually doing here, we're doing if, and again, I can actually just paste that condition. So if the image path is set, then I want the value to be Bob. We're going to take his display name. But if the image is not set, then I want to say no image found. Non-Bob person. And that's how those two things work. These are insanely powerful, especially the copy paste thing. I cannot stress that enough. That is a massive time saver. You can use it in you can also use it in the action builder. In the action workflow, you can copy and paste stuff. So if you've accidentally put all of your conditions on the wrong thing, you can copy them somewhere else. It's really, really cool.
Exactly.
Any questions?
And there is actually, I want to promote one small child game for no coders, that if they want to learn how to use this, there's actually a lot of games that you can actually go through with what is the if, else, and the return statement. So I use this game, for example. There, as I said, there are a lot of games, but I use this game, and there's you can use the and go through the, for example, if else statements. So yeah, definitely learn them and learn to use them and learn to copy.
It's like that film, learn it, love it, live it. Definitely. And if there's any questions, I can't see, but I'm hoping Dimitar will tell me and we can answer.
Yeah, and Imad said that there is also, can you just show the, can you go to the backend query, and you can just show that there is a possibility that you can copy a backend query right now.
Oh, is that actually live in the real version? I didn't know that.
I think so, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Let's find out.
Yeah, when you click confirm, okay, so this is coming apparently. But I was thinking that this is already live, but sorry, it's not. But it is coming. So let's go to the other. The name of the game is that I used is Lightbot. Yeah, so we can go to security, secure local state.
This is
you
cool.
You can just show it. Yeah, you can just show it. I can talk about it. It's about.
Can you show secure local. Do you want to talk about it? Go for it. Talk about it. I will show.
You can just show it in the meantime. Yeah, so it's about actually securing things, so encrypting them, and when it should be showed over here, right at the top, isn't it?
I actually don't see it.
Because it should be on the top, and you should be able to secure all the local states, all the variables. You should be able to secure them, but for some reason it's not there. That's strange. Okay.
It should be. I saw it once, unless I turned it off.
Yeah, I saw it, but
this is why we're doing things and not just talking about them.
No, but it should be there. But yeah, we assume it's there, and the whole idea, if it's not there, it will be there in a couple of days
I guess
from now. But the whole idea is that you can secure. But when you're securing right now, you're securing every value that you have in the local state. So because George have like 1,000 values, and if he clicks secure, he will actually secure all of them.
Really?
So keep that in mind.
Here we go.
Okay.
Because I didn't have. So to recap what I did there, for those of you who don't use local state very much, maybe there obviously it's a locally stored value. You can set the type of it. And then you can set it if it's a list or not. You also have this other option called persisted. What persisted does is means that even if the app is restarted or quit out of, that local state value will still be there. This is good for things like if you want to have a user skip through the onboard or the preview of your app and go right to the login screen, you can set that so that essentially the very first time an app is installed, obviously that value will be false and it will show them the preview. But once they log in the first time, you can have it set to from false to true and then have your logic for your app work so that it skips those pages. That's what a persisted variable does. They're useful in cases, things like that, or API access tokens. They're not useful for things that you want to go away, like if you're trying to just temporarily store some string value from one page to the next. You can only secure things that are set as persisted. So yeah, the best use case I think for this is, like I know for our customers for the Flex Money app, it's things like they get an access token that has to be refreshed all the time. So we would store it in there. And these use the basic, I think, Android and iOS key stores, right?
Yeah.
And the way
Can
you
you show what we're talking about now?
right there.
Yeah. So this is actually securing all the variables, right? And
Only
why you didn't have that before?
because I didn't have a single persisted state value.
Okay, so I need to have a persistent state value in order to have this option, right? Can you remove the one that you created so we can see that it will disappear? So we are.
Bloop, 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 bloop. There you go.
Yeah.
So if you don't see it, that's why don't report it as a bug.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ali actually asked, what about the return type from the if-else statement? So in order to answer this question, I would say that for me, this is still in some beta version, because if you have a string for right now, as we showed at the demo, and if you return a Boolean, for example, it will still allow you to do it. So if you can switch to a string to Boolean, for example,
and break the page
and then confirm it. Yeah, you'll not be allowed to do it, but the error, it's misleading because it's not just telling you what exactly is wrong with that.
I haven't figured out how you can use this.
In what situation this
could actually be useful.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the return statement, it's what you want to return in the end of the day. So if you have an else if, you can actually return something else instead of the two things, right? I think this is the or you can just get the type of what the type is you're returning. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not using this now, so maybe
you can't even return a list of strings. Just
yeah. So
I don't know, but let's not go down that. Yeah. If somebody knows of or has some example of a use case that they use this in, I have yet to find one. But
hi to Bugs as well. Please join us. Okay, we can go from to the next one because we already 10-20 minutes.
Yeah. Infinite scroll for APIs. We now
that's me, I think.
Yeah, this is all you. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So if you can get me to share my screen. So I actually did a video about it in my YouTube channel because me myself was waiting for that for a long time, and I was very happy to actually see this. And the day I saw this, I wanted to test it out. So this is how you. I'll go real quickly with that because as I said, it's already in my channel. So first of all, you need, of course, you need an API. And then when you go to your page, if you click on for example, in my case, I have a list view and I have a backend call. And inside this backend call, when you have an API, there is a new option right here. It's pretty simple to the Firebase one because you already can do it in Firebase. Have you actually tried this, Josh, with the Firebase, with the Infinite Scroller?
Yeah, it broke my page. I tried it when it first came out.
Okay. No, maybe they change it for now, but yeah, when you enable it, you can actually have an access to next page number, number of loaded items, and last response. So when you have this page, for example, as a variable to your API code, you can get those. So if you click over here and you click over here, you can see the 3 options that you have that they miraculously pop up when you enable the infinity scroller. So next page number will begin always with 0. So this is the page number that you are in the website. So it's 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And the number of loaded items are the actual number of loaded items. So in my case, in this API call, I'm loaded 3 items per request. So this one will be 0, and then it will be 3, 6, 9, and so forth and so on. So if you load 10, it will be 0, 10, 20, and so on and so forth. And then the last one is actually the last loaded request. So in my case, I'm spitting out JSON. So I can just say I have a variable, for example, last call. And if I want to grab that, I can just click last call, and then I can just grab the whole JSON. What is the last call response? Did that make sense, Josh, or you're not listening?
Yes, I did not glaze over at all. It was
And
totally,
and the second,
I was totally paying attention, teacher. What were you talking about?
and the second one is you need to have actually generate dynamic children. This is very important, because if you don't have this, it will not work. Generate dynamic children, if you don't know, I think everyone should know, but if you don't know, this is when you get a list of items, and here is the same for API code and Firebase, and you can for example, if you have people, you can write a person here, or if you have coins.
You have a question here from Sebastian, which is last call is everything above.
Yes. So when you do, for example, when you first made a request to the API, you get an empty JSON. And then you get the request with the 3 items. For example, in my example, it's 3 items. And then when you get the second request, you get those 3 in the last call. You get those 3 items that your request was the previous one. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense?
It's loading in chunks, right?
No, it's not loading in chunks. It's loading 3 items, and then the last call, it's loading your last 3 items in case you need them. Yes. So it's basically getting you the last response of your last call.
Okay, I understand. So if it goes 3, 6, 9, the last 3 would be 7, 8, 9, and then another 3 underneath.
But no, it's just getting you all the data. So in my example, is a JSON with a bunch of data, and it's just getting me all the JSON of the last call. It's just getting me the JSON. Like, you're getting everything. To be honest, personally, I don't know why you need this, because you already have this call and you have the new one. And why do you need the last call? To be honest, I don't know why, but if someone needed, it's there.
Could it be, could you be when you go to so if you make a call to a list of users and then you're navigating to a user profile and making another call, that maybe you wanted that last call to have something like that?
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
something like that for performance. So it kind of so that you could display, for instance, say you're doing list of tweets, right? And then you're going into the tweet to get the messages, but you still actually want to be showing on either side of that expansive, or as Sebastian says, maybe you want to pass it on to another page. Exactly. So I think it's that type of thing when you're loading a list of tweets and then you're popping out and expanding one of them and you want to show the replies to that. But you obviously also want to be showing everything above and beyond still.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me.
And one last gem that I found actually myself, it's not very hidden. It's actually on this eye, but I didn't read it. And I think most of us, don't write the eye, what it says here. But because there was a lot of questions in the community, how you actually get a variable inside the API URL request. And this is actually how you do it. For example, if you need a coin ID, you need those brackets over here, and then the name of the variable, and here you write the same variable, it must be the same name. What you need is an integer in my example, and then in the body you don't need it at all. So this is how you do it.
How
And
are those drag and drop things working in the body? I remember when they used to be very wobbly.
In the body, you mean this one, or
like when you have to
one?
drag the variables?
Yeah. So talking about this, there's another gem for that as well. Thanks for asking me.
You can type it. I know.
You can actually type it, because
Yeah.
if you do it like this, last call, it's actually the same thing. As you can see, this one is the same as dragging it like that.
Yeah. It's because those things, I think they're just literally like visual elements that are just hiding it, because there used to be cases where you could see part of it like poking out underneath.
Yeah. So in my case over here, I saw that I have an error because I drag it, and now it's adding my second, what it says. And then if I click format, it will actually show me, as I said to you last time, it's very important to actually click format, and then you can delete it, and then format again, and now it's working. So format will actually show you if you have any errors when you're using a JSON. Okay, that's about it.
I think we've only got one more thing, which is we've got like 10 more things, but we'll go quicker. Gotta go quicker.
Yeah.
Flippable card. This one is, I hope, self-explanatory. It's cool. You can make
something. Will we show it? Or
we can show it. What do you want to make flippable? Let's make something flippable. I'm guessing, actually, that's a good point, because I actually don't know how it works. This is true. This is the first time I've used this.
No, I think you should show it, right?
Yes, I will. So a flippable card, does it work like a badge, or does it work like is it its own flippable?
It's actually the flippable card, it's actually two widgets. So you have the front side and the back side. And it's when you click on the front side, it's just showing you the back side. Actually, you can do this right now with stack widgets. I already did that, actually, so I can show you, because
if you have an example, yeah. Also, I'm showing it. I'm building it right now and realize that I'm not sharing my screen.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Sorry, that was very unhelpful.
So I already done this. This is actually done with the stack elements, and I'm showing on my phone because this is the app that I done. So this is like a card thing, and if you click on it, it's actually only changing the text over here down. I don't know if you see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is only done with a stack, the stack widget. So it's basically the same thing, but you now have a widget that you can just
with a
click
nice
on it,
animation.
And you can do the same thing.
And like I'll show you the example I was quickly building here to show people.
Yeah.
So what it looks like is, so what I'm doing here, I've got my container, and then the front card, I'll have, let's say, actually I'll switch this. So I will put the front card, I will put the name of the person, so Bob and image not available or whatever. And then you could put the image part, you could put on the front side, right? And then have it like that. So it kind of works like page view, in that you have, or tabs or something like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Unless there's any questions about that. But enhanced issue detection, we now identify which specific widget, I didn't see this when we were breaking stuff just the other minute, Dimitar, APO code or GitHub push to fail. GitHub this makes debugging issues even. Okay, this is like in a case of total fails though. So the best example I can think of for this is if any of you have ever tried to set, if you've got an app bar, let's go to like phone view. If you've got an app bar and you've ever tried to set like some conditional visibility of something in there, you will notice that it breaks your app bar for whatever reason. Do you actually know why it's better to use app bar than to just build it yourself?
Is that a question or you're telling me?
Yeah, it's a question to you or to anybody else. Like, I find app bar to be very restrictive. Like, you have this weird height.
That's true.
And so normally I just end up building it with a container and I just stick it at the top of the page. And I'm not understanding if there's some advantage to app bar apart from because everything that supposedly, I just find it a pain to work with. And I'm not sure if there's something I'm missing out on that I should be using.
I don't think so. I don't
If
think
you
so.
try to set conditional visibility for the app bar, although it lets you do it, it will, in many cases at least, break your app. Like if you try to do, if authenticated user, email is verified, show him the app bar, this will crash when you do a run mode. And now it will tell you that it's the app bar that is crashing your app, which is nice.
Yes.
Cool. I think this is the same thing. This widget is causing the failure. That's the little red thing. This is awesome. Can we talk about this bottom sheet?
Yeah.
You can now return a bottom sheet from something. So let's say
you can return the value from the bottom sheet, right?
Exactly. This is amazing if you're doing something like, let's say, I don't know.
Actually, Sebastian answered to your question. He said tab bar is pretty useless. Navbar makes everything much faster.
So it's not just me.
Yeah.
So let's say you were doing, let's like add a little button here or something. Crash. So let's say you were having a button and the button would call a bottom sheet whereby you would search for a user and then you want to add them to something like a group or something, right? In the past, when you dismiss that bottom sheet, it wouldn't necessarily, the value that you've done there, or say you've entered a message or you've calculated something like an update price quantity or something like that, it wouldn't be able to be reflected in many cases. So now what you can do when you set up your bottom sheet, let's pick one at random. Which bottom sheet do you think I might be able to return a value from? This one works, I guess. I don't need to show it. View code. What you'll see here is barrier color parameters. Where do I see return value actually? Is it in here?
It should be, isn't it? Wait a second.
I've done this before. Parameters non-blocking. Oh, I know. It's in the bottom sheet itself. So it's on the done button where you have dismiss, and then you have has value.
Yeah.
And so when you do has value, this means you can now set this from, for instance, some widget state that you've typed in here, and then you can pass that back. And so then you will be able to access that. If I wanted to, I don't know, set this from it, I can now actually set it from, I want to say widget state.
Yeah, probably widget state or action output. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Ah, here we go. So here I can name the return value. So let's say it was message, text, or whatever. There we go. And now I can use it like I would use it from any other action output. It will show up in this menu here, action outputs. So this is whatever I typed in on my bottom sheet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I really like that. That one's really cool.
And we have a question from Matt.
Yes.
Select multiple widgets in the widget tree. Is that possible now?
I believe so.
Because he said he saw it somewhere.
Yeah, I saw it somewhere too, but I think it's a feature maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's another feature.
Yeah, we don't know if it's coming.
We don't know anything.
Now we're in a place that to be honest, we don't know what's coming and what's not, and what we are lying about it and what we're
exactly.
About it.
But no.
But the answer is no, it's not possible.
To hide the page view. Oh yeah. Okay, last two. Alert dialogs from variable. You can now set your alert dialogs in the same way you do for snack bars. If you've ever done that, this is really cool. This means you can save a lot of time. And actually, this pairs great with something like return value from bottom sheet or anything else. You could also use it to get the error codes from an API call or something like that. So if in your action flow you have if fail, then do this alert, you can now actually tell them in exactly what the error message is rather than just a generic one. Finally, we have hide page.
I think this is a tip, isn't it? This is only a tip. This is not a new feature.
It's my gem from last week, which didn't work last week. But I will tell you it now. If you see here, I have the widget tree. I have the page view. If I want, for some ungodly reason, I can combine them, and then I can split them
Okay,
again.
so this is your gem from last
This is my
week.
gem that didn't work last week, but now it does.
What was the other one that didn't work? I don't remember.
I don't remember. Let's not talk about that. Okay.
Okay, Imad said that I asked because there is a different versions between the countries. Maybe the US users, maybe they already have this feature, but no, it's actually I don't think so because the feature is not based on a country based. I'm pretty sure about it, right? Do you agree
I
with
mean, I
me?
think maybe they do gradual rollouts or something like that, but it shouldn't be different for more than 24 hours, I would assume.
Exactly. So, okay, so now let's talk about the difference between MySQL and Firebase and why I wanted to do this in the first place. We have like 10, 15 minutes to do
After
this
45 minutes on the
left
news. Yeah.
after 45 minutes on the news. So yeah, first of all, let me try to share my screen and talk about a little bit of so it's window. Okay, so before sharing my screen, because I have to actually log in, it's a pause that I was thinking that I can log from Firebase and share my screen from there, but it's a pause that I cannot do this, so I have to share it from Chrome only, which is reasonable enough. So I hope you can see my screen right now.
Once I allow it, you may go.
Is it okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll talk about a little bit about. Sorry.
I said, scary code.
Yeah, I'll talk. No, this is not coded at all. I will talk about MySQL in general, and then I will talk, and we will just do a very simple database. And if you are actually following me, George, I will ask you to talk
Yes.
about it,
Sorry.
how
Okay.
this will be in
I'm watching, teacher.
Firebase
I'm watching.
after
I'm
that.
watching.
So yeah, so the thing is that here I have in this example, MySQL is actually this is MySQL and top of MariaDB, which is some part of which is another part of MySQL. And in this case over here, I'm using PHP which is actually like a software or a platform to get an access to the actual MySQL database. So it's like you're using you're like using Firestore to get an access to Firebase, right?
Mhm.
This is the same example in
Okay.
Firebase. And then we have those are the databases. So those are not the tables or the collections. I think those will be the databases. So when you create a new Fire store, you can create a database, and this will be actually the name of the database
So these are like
itself.
your projects, basically, right?
Exactly. This will be one project. This will be third
Okay.
project. This will be so. Those are the projects, and those here are I think you call them collections, right?
So,
This
and
is
what
the
do they call them?
actual.
MySQL? It's tables, right?
It's tables. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So so I will create a new tables over here. In our example, we talked about we'll create like a cart and orders and user and
Yeah. Let's start
items
with
or
the users
products.
table, and then we'll do
So
the
let's
same
start
thing
with
in Firebase.
users one. Yeah, so let's start with user ones. It doesn't matter it's low cases or upper cases, but I will strictly, if I do lower cases, I'll do all the tables lower cases. If I do uppercase, I'll do everyone in uppercase. This is just me. So first of all, first things first, we'll need ID. So it's the same, I think, in the Firestore, you have the ID, right? And it's auto-generated like a long string, right?
Mhm.
This is the ID. And here we have the same thing where it's auto incremented. Here the ID starts with 1, and then every that you create will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So if I click this button over here, it will actually tell me, do you want me to auto generate all those numbers for you? And I say, yes, of course, go for it, generate all those numbers for me. And here I have another option, which is attributes, and I can actually say unsigned numbers. I only want, because this is what is the type will be integer, and I want the unsigned numbers. And unsigned numbers means that I don't want the negative numbers. I want only the positive numbers. Because when you have int, I don't want to get much into details, but when you have int, you have a number from 1 to 2 trillion or something like that. But when you have negative numbers, it will be 1 to from. So this will
Can you
be.
have negative numbers in Firebase? Sorry to interrupt, but can you have negative numbers in Firebase for integers?
For in Firebase.
Yeah, I'm just kind of comparing the two. Is that
you're supposed to answer the Firebase questions,
right? I mean, yeah, I'll answer that question in just a sec. Let me just
okay.
keep on going.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll talk. So we have the user ID, which will be auto-generated. Then, for example, we have the name of the person, the email of the person, and then finally we can have the created at, for example. And then the name will be a var char, which is a simple string, and you have I think 255 characters. This is the characters that you need to store. Why you need this? Why you need to put this information? For example, here the integer will be 11, so that's 11 places, not 11 like the number 11, but it's like 11 zeros, for example. So 1 with 11 zeros, with 10 zeros before that. So this will be the number that you need to store. Why you need to put this? Because this is actually the amount of space that will be assigned for this data, and the database will know that, okay, this number could be an 11-digit number. I will allow this to be an 11-digit number. If it goes 12, your database will broke, and it will say you will not be able to store 12, for example, 12-digit number. It will just, when you try to store it, you will give an error. This is
why my dad was telling me he was trying to do his expenses at work, and his reference, then he had only 12 characters to fit in the fact that he bought a plane ticket from like San Francisco to South Korea, and he's like, I don't know how to do that in 11 characters. It's not possible.
Yeah. So varchar is the same thing. It's a string, and this is the characters that are inside the string. For example, you have 255. If the chars are more than that, it will just cut. So it will just save the 255. And if it's 256, it will just cut the last one. And then we have the email. The email could be, okay, so maybe the description, we can say the description here. So we can just choose a little different types. And this could be a text. And with text, you have, I think, unlimited. I'm not sure, but I think unlimited number of characters you can put inside the text. And then you have the created at, and created at, you have basically, I use two types of data. Actually, when you hover it, it's actually showing you what is the range. So I think this is 2 trillion, right? It's from 2 trillion minus 2 trillion to plus 2 trillion. And then if it's unsigned, it's from 0 to 4 trillion number. And then varchar is the same. You can see what range do you have. This is very useful actually if you want to. And then here the created at, we have the date, which could be only the date, or if you want to have the date time, you can actually store the date time plus the time. So the date time, yeah. And always the date is stored with the year, and then the month, and then the date, and then the hour, minutes, and seconds. So I will put this over here, and then I will save it. And this will be my first
so
collection.
far, by the way, anybody? We're creating the users table, right? That's what we're
creating. You can see on the bottom.
I just wanted to.
It's actually the.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the collection inside Firestore, right?
Got it.
We just created the and then now we created the orders, for example. So here in the orders, we have the order ID. So I just wanted to talk about this because I don't think I said that. I prefer to actually do it instead of ID, only ID. I prefer it to make it order ID, to create it like the name will be order ID, because if I'm joining tables, which I can talk a little bit if you have time, because this is one of the main idea to have MySQL database. If you are
One of the
joining
advantages,
tables,
right, over Firebase.
this is the advantage, because if you put ID, in the end of the day you get mixed up which ID is to which table. But if you put order ID, you know that this ID is for the order tables. This is at least my my thinking. So you have the product ID, which will be the connection to your products table, which we didn't create yet,
like a
but
document
we'll
reference. Yeah, you're creating like a
exactly.
link between two things, right?
Exactly. And this will be an integer. All the integer, actually, when you have auto incremented, it will be 11. And all the IDs, so the product ID, order ID, user ID, will be 11. And then I have the user, which user made the actual order. And this will also be integer, also be 11, and also be unsigned, because we'll never have a minus ID of the of any IDs. So
Are the IDs automatically assigned? Like when a when a record in the table is created, these IDs are automatically assigned, right?
No, only this one is automatically assigned.
Yeah, exactly.
Only the first one.
The primary.
Those two, yes, those two have to be filled, have to be imported. And then we will store the date. And here I want to talk about the date time. You can actually set the default value. So every time there is a creation of the every time you insert a row inside this table, you can actually create the current date and time. I don't know if you can. I think this is possible to do it only with cloud functions in Firebase,
it's
right?
actually interesting. If you don't mind, can I just cut in for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Just to say that, setting default values. Maybe people watch and not, but essentially that's one of the big things in Firebase that doesn't happen. So essentially, the difference between the relational and the NoSQL Firebase is that with Firebase you don't have to worry about things like not having a 12-character reference that has been set as maximum 11. But the disadvantage is that A, you can't so easily query and join different tables together, and B, you can't necessarily set these default values in the same way. The only way you can do that is actually with cloud functions. Cloud functions are something that, unfortunately, right now, FlutterFlow does not support. You can do it through a tool we demoed last week called Rowie. And there may be some help with setting that up coming along the way. But essentially, you can actually then make it so that every time you create a order or users, certain things will be set by default so that you don't have to do it in your actual actions that you're using in FlutterFlow. But with MySQL, one of the advantages is that you can set it just directly in your database what those default values would be.
Yeah. So it's here. Actually, we also can have default value by default. So when you insert it here, I can just say, for example, description, because I just created the products table. And here in the description, if I want to, I can just write a default description. Mm-hmm. So if it's an empty one, it will be just the default one. If you insert some description, it will just be the one that you inserted. So the product, I think we only need the name, the description, and maybe when it was created. And then if I save this, actually, I should change it to, so if I go to options, I forgot to do this, but the storage engine should be InnoDB. So there are a lot of storage agents, as you can see, for the storage of the database. But I found out that InnoDB is the one that you actually have to use in order to create the actual connections between the tables. So I need to change them to how many minutes do we left? So I just know.
Like 3.
Okay, I just need to show. Do you think I have like 5 minutes or?
You can go over. It's fine. You can go a little bit over.
Yeah. So
I'd like to show something too.
I wanted to show when you actually go here. Here is you can see all the tables, which are all the collections. And when you go to the design, so there are 2 things that I want to show real quickly. So when you go to design, because I have a lot of tables, I have to make it like that so you don't see them. But the one that we actually wanted to show you is the users table, and then it's the other one is the orders table, right? So you have all the all the tables over here, and the connection that you can do right now is like create a connect. No, before we create a connection, sorry, before we create a connection, we actually go to structure, and this is the structure of your database. And now here you needed actually to do this indexes. So why you're doing this in indexes? It's actually helping the database to actually calibrate how many unique IDs do you have in this database, in this column. So it's important because if you want to connect those database, you need actually to have them indexes. So when I go, because if you're not, it will not actually allow you to do this. But when you go back, when you click on design, and we have here the products. And if I find, for example, the orders, we have actually the product here we have the product ID. So we can actually, I think in theory, we can actually click on the product ID. This is actually the selected foreign key. So this is the primary key, and this will be the foreign key. And now actually now I'm creating the connection, and now it's actually asking me what I want to do it on delete. So do I want to cascade? Do I want to not know? Do I want to set to not know? Do I want no action or restrict? So do I have to go through them, or I think we don't have time, right?
I think maybe not. But
Yeah.
or at least can I show something in? Well, no, you can go through them if you want. How long is it going to take? You can go through.
Yeah,
it's important.
Yeah, no, just cascade. Most of the time I use cascade. So the cascade thing is that when you actually change something or delete something, it will actually delete it from the parent table. So if you change something on the parent table, it will actually delete it on the secondary table as well.
This is a huge advantage over Firebase. Like when something is deleted, deleting the references to it above, because that again is something that is only possible. So for instance, the best example I can think of is when you have like someone, sorry, Iman said in the, I apologize for Imad, sorry if I'm butchering your name, was talking about doing a list of likes where you're storing the user reference. This can cause problems when that user is deleted potentially for whatever reason, and then their reference though is still stored somewhere. And it is, yeah, this is a drawback of Firebase and a definite advantage of MySQL, despite the fact that it's making me a little bit cross-eyed looking at it right now, is things like this, is in how effectively it can manipulate those kind of relations.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to actually show you just if I create the connections, because I have a lot of tables right now, you can see it, but you can see actually the green arrow, which is pointing, which means that those are connected. So if I just created already a product and I just want to create a user, just a sample user, insert, and I'll just say George because he's my favorite user. And then I will create on what date, it's today date, and then go. So if I go to orders right now, and if I want to create a new order, so watch this. This is important. Right now, it's if I want to create an order, the product ID of the order, so my cart, can be only with the products that I have in the products table. Do you get what I see? Do you get what I mean? So yeah. I can only select that, and I cannot write anything else because it's connected. So if I select this, and the user is the same thing, I can have this user. So if I create an order, it will be, and I go to browse, it will be with those user ID and those.
And is that most helpful in just when you're doing backend, like when you're doing creation of products from an admin perspective, or is that also something in the UI to actually help users not be able to input false data?
I think this is very important, setting up the database, because in the end of the day, what is actually stopping you to have orders with the product ID of 0? Nothing. If you haven't set up this, nothing will stop you. So, but in January, if you have a product with ID of 0, your app will crash, right? Because there is not a product with ID 0. So in theory, this will crash. So in example of Firebase, if you actually create an order and then you delete the product that is inside this order, I think the app will crash, right?
Yes, I think we just saw that about an hour ago when we were trying to build stuff.
But here, yes, but here, watch this. We have the orders, we have one row, one total row. And when I go to products, and when I delete my product right now and go back to orders, we don't have any orders right now because I delete the product.
Magic.
Do you get it?
No, I mean, these things are genuinely, I know I'm kind of making a few jokes because I just am a little bit out of my depth in this MySQL world, but I definitely know that there are advantages. I believe you and all the other devs, like my co-founder David, who tell me why there are advantages. And I also know firsthand from the pain of trying to deal with gray screens.
The problem here, I'll just take one more minute. The problem here is that, and I just want to point real quickly about the triggers. So the triggers we have also a triggers. So when you create a trigger here, you can actually say, I want my trigger in my orders before it's actually inserted inside. So it could be before inserted, before updated, or before deleted. I want to do this. And here you can actually write a MySQL language, and this will actually do it before inserting. So for example, in my example, I'm using this a lot when I'm having, for example, users table or whatever table I have, and I have this created at, and this actually can be updated at. So every time a record is updated, I will update the date. I think this is in Firebase. This is automatically, right? It's done automatically. So every time you update the record, the date, there is a field that it's automatically updated, right?
There is, but it's not necessarily exposed all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And just to finish what I was saying, the last thing that I would say, it's I think it's this type of database is preferable when you're using with a lot of requests. So if you're doing a lot of requests, you don't need high volume, exactly. There is nothing stopping you, like have million requests per minute or per second, probably. So this is one of the advantage. The other advantage is that you can set up the things that I just showed, and the disadvantage, the biggest disadvantage is that you actually have to write code yourself, right? There's a lot of platforms that you can actually connect right now with MySQL, and they're very helpful. But in the end of the day, you can actually have to write some code in order to, because how you actually access this data, because I didn't talk about it, how you actually access this data, it's through API calls. So every time you, for example, in Firebase, you get a collection, here you can actually have to write what I'm doing. I'm actually writing myself in PHP, connecting the MySQL, writing in PHP, and then creating a request, for example, get a request, and then getting this data as a JSON, and of course putting it in Firestore. So I think that's about it, what I wanted to talk about. I hope that was useful.
It was very informative. You have made me feel very small and insignificant in this world. But that's okay. That's nothing new. I'm kind of used to it. It's nothing I blame personally. What I would like to do, though, is use that as a nice little transition to something else, because a lot of what we talked about just now was about, cheese in the chat, about different types of UK cheese. But a lot, if we were being good students and paying attention to Dimitar, because he was parting his wisdom on us, was that there's a lot of stuff that Firebase doesn't do on the back end, and that unfortunately you can't do in FlutterFlow right now. Everything requires everything requires an action from a user, which means things like deleting stuff when one record gets deleted, having another record. And if you watched our live stream last week, we talked about cloud functions and using Rowie to do that, which again, unfortunately, comes down to you have to write code, which is not for everyone, myself included. So we have something to kind of tease for you guys. We'll talk much more about it next week. But yeah, it's something that Dimitar and I have been working on. If I share my screen, I will give you a little preview. If you go to our website, flexperts.dev, big get started button.
You can actually send this link, right?
Yeah, I can send in the chat, flexperts.dev. Maybe you can type it in for me because I can't go back without doing infinity screen. You will, if you click there, you'll come to this get access page, and it says coming soon, Cloud Functions Builder for FlutterFlow. This is our attempt to essentially take something that FlutterFlow doesn't have, unfortunately, right now, and make a little add-on to make it easier to do without code. We have a few little sample images of what it's looking like. Progress is going really well, apart from this morning when it kind of crashed a little bit, but that was mostly my fault. But what this is designed to do is to give you some kind of template cloud functions, sync with your Firebase kind of in the same way as your FlutterFlow does, so you have your collections interfaces, and to actually allow you to build these cloud functions with more of a sentence type drop-down picker interface rather than having to dive straight in and write those by hand in JavaScript. We think it's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about it. If you want to get the full details once we release it, then yeah, you can go here, put in your email address. We'll send you an email, and we should be demoing it hopefully next week. We'll also have one of the founders of Rowie coming on, who we've been working with on this, to talk about it and all of the cool things you can do with it. So yeah, that's my very low-key thing. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think I sent the link, isn't it? Or I did.
Flexperts.dev got exactly like that. Well, I'll click it and make sure.
Did I send it on the private chat or the
you did?
one that
you did send it on the private chat, but that's okay. I'll pop it in the main link.
Oh, because I cannot write actually on the main chat.
Oh, you can't. You're right. You're don't have those privileges. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. I hope that was exciting. As always, thank you to everyone who joined. I've been enjoying the chat, and everybody's patience has made me laugh.
So yeah, we'll see you next week. I was thinking that what we'll do next week, but you already said that. So
yeah, I did. We're going to talk about more cloud functions and all the cool stuff. Have a great week, guys. Bye.